All right, I am live. So I think I'm a minute early, but I was just so excited to join you guys. So I thought I'd just hop in here. Also, I am progressively getting hungrier and hungrier. So I thought if I hopped in here and did this, I can get out of here sooner. So whether you're watching this live or you're watching the replay, thank you. Thanks for joining me. So I am talking about, or I'm sharing 10 ways to repurpose your content. And that is any type of content, blog, podcast, videos. And first, let me introduce myself. My name is Nicole Abboud. I am the Faculty Member of the Week. Again, thank you to Clarissa, who is probably on her way to have her baby very, very soon. So hang in there, and I hope you have a safe delivery. But thank you for inviting me to be faculty member again. And I wanted to come and talk about something that I haven't talked about before, and maybe it's something you are familiar with. Maybe you're trying to figure out what else to do with this content that you've already created. But I am coming at you, hey Clarissa. So I'm actually coming from all the way in America. I'm in Los Angeles, California, and it is still February over here. So I'm still back here in February while you guys are in March. So you're ahead of me. But so my business is called Abboud Media, and what we do is we help lawyers and clients connect better. The way we do that is through two mediums, videos and podcasting. So we help lawyers tell their stories, showcase their expertise, and ultimately connect with more clients using these two platforms. So let's get down to it. I deal with a lot of repurposing, whether it is for my own stuff, for my clients' work, but repurposing really breathes new life into your content, whatever content creation efforts you are embarking upon. And the reason why I thought this would be a good topic to discuss today is because we are all very, very busy. And I've noticed something that I do, more than likely you do it too, but that is I spend a lot of time creating content, and I mean a lot of time creating content, and not enough time promoting it. I spend, hey Anne-Marie, so I spend realistically probably 4 to 5, maybe even 6 hours creating one episode for my podcast. So that includes everything from getting the guest to recording, editing, getting it out into the world. Up to 6 hours. And yeah, I spend maybe half an hour promoting, which involves a tweet here, a post on Facebook there. So if you have the same problem I do, which is spending more time creating, not enough promoting, that's a problem. So let's talk about how we can get the most out of the content you are creating. So I posed a question in this group a few days ago. And by the way, you guys, if you have questions, please throw them out there in the comments, whether you're watching live or if you watch this afterwards, leave comments, questions, I'll come back and answer. So I posed the question a few days ago, and if you happen to catch that poll, you notice that I used a certain numbers. So I've heard somewhere that the Pareto principle of 80-20 applies to a lot of things, and it especially applies to content creation and promotion. So the 80-20 rule says that 80% of your results should come from 20% of your efforts, or something like that. Hopefully I didn't mess that one up. So what that means is you should be spending 20% of your time creating and then 80% promoting, whatever it is, whether you write blog articles, if you have a podcast, if you record videos. So a bulk of your time should really be spent getting the word out about this great piece of content that you just created. So some other reasons to repurpose before we dive into 10 ways to repurpose. Another reason is obviously just to get more mileage out of what you're creating. So to get more eyeballs on it, get more ears listening. Another reason is to try to reach a whole new audience. So if you post something today, or let's say you wrote a blog article a few years ago, if you were to repost it today, you would get a whole new group of people reading that article because your network has grown. So to reach new audience members, sorry about that, let me turn my phone off. Ultimately, it's to save time. It's so you can create less, promote more, save some time, right? Not reinvent the wheel. Okay, so let's dive in. Just a short note before we do that though, how do you decide what to repurpose? Okay, so you have a lot of blogs, a lot of videos, a lot of speeches recorded, something. Are you going to repurpose everything? How do you decide? So something to keep in mind is if the content you've created, if it's evergreen, which means if it's just as relevant today as it was when you created it, when you wrote the article 2 years ago, that's a good candidate for repurposing, right? It still applies, it's still relevant, it's still good law, it's still going to benefit someone today. Okay, so that's a good candidate. Another thing to look at is what is one piece of content that was very popular. So why don't you check your Google Analytics and see what page, what blog post got a lot of interest, or check the comments, the shares if you happen to post it on Facebook or somewhere else. What's popular? Because if it's something that struck people's interest, then more than likely that's something they'll want to see again. Or this new audience base that you're going to reach, they want to see it too. So something that's evergreen, it's always been good and it will continue to be good for the most part, or what's been popular. Share that again, okay? So here we go, let's dive in. 10 ways to repurpose, and this lighting is just not good. It's showing all my gray hairs. Not that you need to know this, but I moved my desk and now I'm directly under the light and it's fluorescent, so not a pretty situation over here. Okay, so what are 10 ways to repurpose? And I tried to think of some interesting ways, although I'm sure maybe you've heard of some of these, maybe most of them, but humor me. So first way is to take any kind of presentation that you've ever given and turn it into a slide share. So a slide share for LinkedIn, okay? So LinkedIn allows you to upload, as far as I know, allows you to upload presentations, right? So slide decks that you might have given in a webinar, in front of people somewhere at a conference. So you can upload that as a slide share and allow more people to see your webinar slides or your presentation slide deck that you more than likely spent a lot of time on. So that is one way. And you'll notice for all these 10 ways that I'm listing, I kind of try to cover all the different types of content creation. So I'm not sticking to just blogs, but I also talk about videos, podcasts, articles, different content that you might be creating. Okay, so one way, use that SlideShare option on LinkedIn or wherever else you're allowed to upload webinar slide decks and upload it, right? Allow it to reach a new audience on LinkedIn. Okay, second way to repurpose content that you have. If you happen to have a podcast, a video, or any type of interview-based show, so whether it's in written form or, like I said, a podcast or a video, anywhere where you're actually interviewing people, then you can take those questions, those responses from the people that you've been interviewing and turn it into an expert advice book, if you will, or booklet, right? So some kind of guide, some kind of ebook that takes all the best responses, insights from these guests that you've been speaking to, that you've been interviewing, and turn it into an ebook and use that as a welcome gift for new clients that come into your firm that you retain. So I don't know if you have some kind of welcome package that you send clients, but this could be part of it, right? So this is the highlights, the best insight from these experts that I've spoken to in the past about family law, for example, assuming you're a family law attorney. Okay. Third way to repurpose is to take any kind of blog post, video, podcast, and use it as an opt-in to attract email subscribers. So we've all heard about the importance of building up your email list. So one way is to just straight up ask people for their email, but more than likely people will not give it to you for nothing because people have become very possessive of their email addresses, and rightfully so, because inboxes are getting very crowded. So one way to get an email from anyone that you want to add to your list is to offer something in exchange, so an opt-in. I'm sure you are familiar with it. So use any kind of article, one of the most popular articles that you've posted, one of the most popular podcast episodes that you've put out there, and put that behind a sign-up sheet and offer it as an opt-in or a freebie to get email subscribers. Okay, so now this article that you've written that is just loved by everyone, you are offering it in exchange for an email now. Okay, so one way to build your list. Okay, moving along. The fourth way to repurpose is to turn your content, kind of related to an opt-in, but to turn your content into email autoresponders. So what this means is now you're not just giving one article in exchange for an email. But instead, when the person signs up, when they're finally on your email list, you're going to have to set up an autoresponder sequence where every, let's say, week or so, every 5 days, they're going to get a new email. But instead of it being a live email that you're typing right on the spot and sending to them, it's actually going to be a set up automated responder that contains all your most popular blogs, right? Because you wrote them for a reason. They must have been beneficial. They are valuable. So why not just nurture a relationship with this person who's on your email list by presenting them with really valuable content that you've already created. And it just happens to be coming in a sequence, maybe a few days after each other, a few weeks, however you decide you want to do it. But that can be kind of like the red carpet that you're rolling out for them, except it's with content and not with live emails. Okay, so that's something that I actually recently did, where I set up a responder, and a few of my emails that are about 5-7 days apart actually have old episodes that I think are very relevant for that particular person who signed up. And I have my email list segmented, so I know the reason someone signed up is because they're interested in podcasting. Great. Let me send them more information that I've already created a long time ago that's about podcasting, and let me build that relationship with them that way. Okay, so that's another way to repurpose. The fifth way to repurpose is to create, and this is actually one social media platform that is neglected by lawyers. Obviously, I'm generalizing. I'm sure there are lawyers on here that are doing a great job. But Pinterest. So I don't know if anyone in here uses Pinterest. If so, please drop your Pinterest handle, is it called? Because I'd love to go see what you're doing. I don't see too many lawyers on Pinterest. But create a Pinterest instruction graphic. So if you notice, what does well on Pinterest is obviously the longer infographic type of graphics and images. So why don't you take some kind of article, a video that you've already recorded, extract the statistics from it, and turn it into an infographic, whether you do that on your own using Canva or if you want to outsource that. But create something that's worthy of Pinterest, something that looks lovely, something that has maybe statistics or some numbers, or it looks like a graph. Those tend to do well on Pinterest, but don't neglect Pinterest. It's a great traffic generator. Actually, I read that a pin, so a post on Pinterest, is 100 times more shareable, I believe they said. Yeah, it was 100 times more shareable than a tweet, which is kind of a big deal. And also, the shelf life of a pin is about a week as opposed to 24 minutes on Twitter. I actually just read that statistic today. What that means is whatever you put on Pinterest is going to last there for a while. It's going to be seen because it doesn't move as quickly as Twitter. So consider turning your statistics from a blog that you've written into a Pinterest graphic and using it on Pinterest. All right, the sixth way to repurpose is to create, and this one's a fun one. I don't think I've seen too many people do this, but to create a limited series, so a limited run of live streaming that's around your content. So let's say you have let's say 4, 5, 6 podcast episodes where either you or the guest shared a lot of great knowledge, a lot of great information. You can extract that information. So write down the highlights from each episode and do a 5 or 6 episode live streaming extravaganza, if you will, where you let people know that for the next 5 weeks, the next 5 Fridays in a row, we are covering all these topics. And these topics are extracted directly from content you've already created. So you're not reinventing the wheel. You're just presenting it through a new medium. And in this case, it happens to be live streaming. So you'd have to do it live. Okay, so that's kind of cool. And I think I like the fact that it's a limited series, like a limited run. So you're not tying yourself to every Friday doing a live stream, which is fine if you have the time and can do that. But if you tell people this is just for 5 weeks, it's almost like they have to show up. They know it's limited. So, okay, I think I see 4 people in here. So if you guys want to drop some comments, say hello. I'd love to see who's out there. But I also acknowledge that it's lunchtime where you are. So if you are stuffing your face, then don't even worry about it. Don't bother saying hello. Go eat. I understand the importance of eating. But let's talk about number 7. So what's the 7th way to repurpose your content? This is probably the most obvious way, but turn a blog into a video or into a podcast or vice versa. So here's what I mean. So let's say you start off with a podcast. You can use transcription services like rev.com, and I'm sure there are others, where they will transcribe the entire episode for you. So they'll write it down, and from there you can just either publish it as is somewhere, or turn that, kind of finesse it a little bit and turn that into a blog post. So take something that you've recorded in person, well, that you've recorded using your voice, and turn it into a blog post. There's also a really great service that turns blog posts into videos. So this is actually really exciting. I experimented with it a little bit, but it is called Lumen 5. So I will either try to write that in the comments later, or I'll spell it out for you. So it's Lumen and then the number 5. So what this does is it actually takes any kind of blog post, and it on its own determines what the most important parts of that blog are, and I don't know how it does it. And of course you can adjust it, and you can pick out what's the most important parts, but it takes a few sentences from the blog and inserts them into a video where you can change what's happening in the background of the video, and it kind of becomes like a slideshow video, but it's based off of the blog, and you don't have to know how to create videos. There's no editing involved. So it's a pretty cool service where, thanks Clarissa, it's a pretty cool service where you can turn that blog into a video. And as far as I know, it is free. I think there is some kind of paid upgrade if you want more features, but the one I played around with was free. So it took a blog post of mine, turned it into a video, and I was able to change, again, the font. I was able to change the picture in the background, and a few different things to kind of customize it. But it was really cool because then now I have a video based on my blog post. So, and then of course you can always take a video and turn that into a blog post as well, using the same thing, using similar services as the one you use for a podcast. So transcription services that will take what you're saying, turn it into a transcript. Okay, so it's pretty nifty. There are a lot of resources out there if you really want to start looking into them. Watching and eating. Hey, Elizabeth. All right, I don't blame you. I'm actually heading out to dinner right after this. So, okay, number 8. So this one I kind of already touched upon, but it's an infographic. So this one isn't necessarily for Pinterest. It's just for anywhere. People love infographics. I think it's just easy to work through all that content when it's images and just like numbers here and there, as opposed to a whole lot of words. So use a service like Fiverr, Upwork. I don't know if there are any local places in Australia that are kind of very similar, but I'm sure you can find someone to help you with it if you don't want to do it on your own, because it is kind of tedious anyways. But take posts that have a lot of good statistics. So they're rich with numbers, and can easily be turned into an infographic, and create infographics and share that on social media. So now you have one blog that can maybe have 3-4 different infographics created based on what you talked about in that blog. Same with videos and podcasts. But so instead, you're turning these written words into a different type of content that speaks to someone who's a little bit more visual, perhaps, prefer to look at graphics than words. So there's that. Let me take a sip of water. Okay. Let's talk about the 9th way to repurpose, and that is posting on LinkedIn's articles. Did I even say that correctly? Posting your blog post on LinkedIn articles. There we go. So if you've been on LinkedIn, you notice that you can post just a comment, right? A regular post that goes in the feed. But then if you go to your profile, you're able to, well, actually just right there in the comment area, you can post what they call articles. So those are ones that stay, for the most part, permanently on your profile. They don't disappear in the feed with the rest of the posts that you put on there. So these are more permanent. These are more scholarly works, if you will. But instead of just sharing out your blog right there in the feed on LinkedIn, you should make it a little bit more permanent and put it as an article as well. So I actually do that with my podcast episodes. Even though it is audio, what I do actually is start drafting an article, and I write over on the Gen Y Lawyer podcast, and then I write the highlights, and then I say, to listen, go here. And I connect it to my website where the podcast player exists. So it's more of kind of just generating more buzz, more attention for something that I've already created, but in a different place that tends to be forgotten. A lot of people don't post articles. They just post regular comments on the LinkedIn feed. So that's a good one to pay attention to. All right, so we are coming near the end. I have 2 more. So even though I said 10, I really have 11. So I snuck 1 more. So number 10, this one is a little silly, just republish old content. Of course, by giving it or including some kind of facelift or adding something that wasn't there. But why not take something that you posted 3 years ago, again, if it's still relevant, or if something new happened and you can add more commentary to it, republish it. No one's gonna say anything. No one's gonna be like, no, hold up. You published that 3 years ago. You can't show that to us again. No one's gonna catch on. And especially if you add additional things to it. So update, here's what's happened since then. Or just give it a little bit of a facelift, refresher, and repost it. Nothing wrong with that. I'm all about that stuff. So republish old content. And then, well, so that one might be easier for blog, not so much for videos and podcasts, to be honest, because those are kind of already there. But actually, no, I've listened to podcasts where they've just republished old episodes from prior years. And they full on just told people, this is an oldie but a goodie, and here it is. These are the top 5 from 2014 that you might have missed because you just started listening to my show. So it's possible to do it on a podcast or with a video. And the final one, so number 11, this one, again, it's a simple one, but a lot of people, it's surprising how people just forget to do this, and it could be because there's no time or you get busy. But just repost it on social media. So use scheduling software to just constantly put that information, so content that you've created in the past, to constantly put it out there. I just signed up for a service called Meet Edgar. I don't know if you've heard of it. So it's just Meet and then Edgar, E-D-G-A-R. And what it does is it actually allows you to schedule out content. So just like Buffer or like Hootsuite. But what I like about Meet Edgar is that it actually stores everything that you've ever posted in a little library. So then on its own, well, with your guidance, it goes in and reposts things on your behalf without you having to go in and update it every time. So that's saved me, I've only had it for about a week. I see that I'm constantly posting without me actually posting. And it's saving my stuff in a queue, in a library, so that it goes and reposts it on my behalf. So it's constantly getting new eyeballs on my already created content. But aside from just posting it on social media, I like to respect the context of each platform. So aside from just pushing this blog article to LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, I like to maybe, sometimes I like to turn my content into Instagram stories, right? And try to post something on Instagram that I wouldn't be able to, like if it's an article, it wouldn't look good if I just posted that article on Instagram as a picture. So instead, I try to talk about it in my Instagram stories, or I try to repurpose it. And respecting the context of each platform, I try to share that knowledge, whatever it is I wrote in the article about, I try to share it on those platforms based on how those platforms function, if that makes sense. So not only reposting on social media, but I'll use all the different, all the different features of the social media platform. So don't forget Instagram stories, don't forget Facebook Live. LinkedIn is a little bit limited, but there's LinkedIn video, so that's another place you can post that. So make sure you're using all the features of the social media platforms to just constantly get the information out there. And I know that sounds like a lot of work, but again, there are so many resources that you can use to do this on your behalf or to help you. And if you think about it, repurposing takes less time than creating new content. So investing some time in just getting more mileage out of the content you've already created will serve you well in the long run. Because again, you're saving time. You've already thought of all this stuff, no need to recreate it. just repurpose it and get more life out of it. So that's what I've got for you. I would love to hear if you guys have some unique way, some special way that you repurpose your content. I know that there's different, if you do presentations, there are other things that you can do, or you can apply any of these 11 repurposing ways. But in the comments, leave how you repurpose your content, if you do at all. I'd love to hear it. I'd love to learn from you as well. So aside from that, that is all I have. So thank you. I want to thank you for being here, for spending 25 minutes with me. That's a long time. That's a long time with me. So enjoy your lunch. Again, Claire said thank you for having me. I'm excited to meet your baby when she comes. And if you want to get in touch with me, if you want to find out more about me, I will send you to my website. So my website is aboudmedia.com. But also, I want you to connect with me on Instagram. That's actually my favorite platform, and you'll see how I repurpose some of my content on there. So you can connect with me on Instagram, and that's at Nic_Abboud, NIC_ABBOUD. Other than that, enjoy your day. Happy March. It's the beginning of March, so that's exciting. But let's see, wait, Sarah said something. So I have repurposed before, but by just using the same info and changing the background pic. That's awesome. That's actually good too. Because you're right, people don't pay attention to that stuff. We're the ones who are over analyzing whether people are gonna remember that we use this one specific color. But I think that's great. But okay, I hope I can go there someday too. I mean, I need to just go and visit anyways. I've never been to Australia, so I'm kind of not, I think I'm avoiding that plane ride. I'm not gonna lie. I try to avoid plane rides, and that one's the longest of them all. So again, I'll let you guys go. Enjoy your day. Thank you for having me. Write in the comments how you repurpose. Let's keep this going. Hopefully it's been helpful. But good luck with everything. Bye.